just wanted to share something that, when you exited out for a second, something that I've been going through in my household, which again, if I don't ever share with people that there are some pretty heavy struggles going on, you would never know.
Mhm.
And that's part of what we do here. That's part of all this training. But 2 nights ago, so my wife owns a cat breeding business. We breed Bengal cats, and they were away. And somehow I didn't close the garage door, and somehow the door to the garage was open, and so we lost one of our cats that hasn't come back. And that cat is like a prized possession of our family, and it's insane the stress and turmoil that it causes, and how my wife feels about it, and what's going on, and I have to explain that to my children, and it's taking ownership without looking for excuses is very challenging because this was all my fault. All of it. Like everything that happened was my fault. And because of everything that we do here, this was one of the first times that I didn't try to deflect it or take it away from me. I just took full ownership. And it doesn't feel good to know that you're the one who's at fault. But what was a change was I wasn't looking to deflect anything. I wasn't looking for an excuse around it. And all those things apply to everything we do, right? Whether it's work, whether it's real life, whether it's carrying our drama into work or carrying our work drama into real life. It's like, how do you just accept what's going on without beating the living shit out of yourself? And at the same time, I was having a conversation yesterday because again, this has been ongoing for 2 days. But I allowed myself, I'm still allowing myself to feel the pain, from it. Not deliberately, but I'm not denying it. Like I caused something. And instead of trying to run from it or deflect it, I'm trying to understand what it is that I did and using that pain as an anchor to do things better. And that's the thing. It's like, how do we use our trauma or our drama to make things better? Because we're never going to be perfect. And I totally 100% on me. This was all me. Nobody else can take the blame. But for me to take 100% of the blame, it's different, right? And when you start learning how to do that, then you're not always trying to pass the buck. You're not always trying to make it somebody else's fault. You're not trying to just make yourself feel more validated in in a way that has nothing to do with what you caused. So I just wanted to share that because again, if I don't say these things, people would never know that I'm going through something that's causing a lot of grief for my wife, and I'm responsible for that. So Aaron, I wanted to open it up to, again, whatever topic you want to talk about. You've been on, enough of these calls and you've seen how they go, and they can be about anything. But the market's shifting a little bit in Vegas for you. So, I don't know how it is over there. I know in San Diego, all of a sudden we're seeing price reductions and things like that. But you were going over, you were really trying to focus on higher end properties. And I think Vegas is probably got a different mindset than San Diego, where higher priced properties, well, our median price point here is $1 million. In Vegas, it probably isn't. But whatever you want to talk about, but I just want to hear like what you're going through, how you're working through it, and any of the stories in between that, we can hear that are real. But then again, it's just very vulnerable sharing so that we all see that, hey, we're all going through it in some way, but also how can we support you? So take it away, my man.
Cool. Thanks, Stephen. I guess today I just want to shed some light on starting something new and sticking to a schedule. So, like one of my mentors in real estate told me that if you're going to start something new or if you want to get serious about something, the first and I guess foremost, most important thing is to set a schedule for how you're going to get from A to B and what you need to do daily to get there. So since I stopped my full time job in December and starting January of this year for real estate, I stuck to a schedule like you told me to. So I'm on the phone usually by 9:45 a.m. and then I leave the office about 5:30 p.m. And I set a goal of how many calls I need to get done, how many contacts I need to get done, and what my day looks like Monday through Friday. Because if you are not consistent, you're going to jump around from this goal to that goal, or you're going to skip this part of your day where you didn't do something. And consistency is going to be the key if you have a certain goal that you need to get to. It's going to create less gaps in between of your daily schedule. So in addition to that, I have a new listing that I'm posting on the market, I think tomorrow for $8.99. So I'm getting closer to that higher price point home. This will be my most expensive listing. Um, so just when I tell people how long I've been in real estate, it's been almost a year now. But when I tell them that just this year is when I fully took it seriously, my first 6 months from June to December, 0 deals. And then from this now January to June, I'm going to be now on my 7th, and then my listing would be 8. So just from June, I've got 8 deals closed. So people are kind of surprised by that. As a new agent, agents usually quit after a year. I think it's like 75% of first year agents quit. So I do a lot and I feel like it's not enough. But then when I look at the bigger picture, I feel like I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. So you look in the mirror so much and you don't see what's going on around you, and you compare yourself to what others are doing. But when you look at where you are and your knowledge and your expertise and your, what's the word I'm looking for? So I've only been doing it for a year. So your background or your experience again, I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. So it's being hard on myself and realizing that what I'm doing is good enough, but to myself in comparison to where I want to be, it's not enough. But it just takes time, and again, consistency, doing the same thing every day is going to speed up where you want to go.
So I was taking notes. So with your consistency, what challenges are you experiencing with being consistent? Because that's a reality, right? So what are those challenges?
Do it every day, and you don't want to do it anymore. You get tired of it.
Right. So that's one of life's interesting lessons. It's not about what we like, right?
Mhm.
It's about what we do. And then in here, I'll never forget when I first moved to the States from Canada, and I took this job while I was getting my real estate license and all this stuff. And one of the things that my mentor in that business told me, he's still a great friend of mine today, and he said, "What does how you feel have to do with anything? When you have to do something, what does how you? I don't feel like doing that today. It's just or listening to my children. I don't feel like I can walk. I think my feet are gonna hurt. I'm like, what? Like, where does that stuff come from? But it's amazing because it really is that feeling. But that feeling is because of a story. And part of that story is whatever is already so deeply layered in yourself that wants to take you away from all of that. Right? It's interesting how we want to shift ourselves. So the consistency is definitely one thing, because the thing I can tell you right off the bat is there are very few people that are making that many phone calls from 9:45 to 5:30. Is your whole day phone calls?
Yeah, I usually make about 300 calls a day.
Right. So the one thing that you didn't talk about, right? You've talked about 7, maybe 8 deals here right away, but you didn't talk about how many are in your pipeline because of your consistency. How many are in your pipeline? How many people have you put into a nurture program?
Maybe like 60, 70, quite a few people.
So that's what you need to look at, because the 7 or 8 that again that you're talking about right now, where did those come from? Roughly, not every single one, but where's the majority come from?
From me calling.
Exactly. How long was that nurture cycle?
usually 2 to 3 months per each one. So some of them were quicker because they needed to sell immediately, and the other ones took some time. So 3 months.
And of those 60 roughly that are in the pipeline right now, if you had to grade them from A, B, C, how many would be an A?
Maybe like three, as in like they're ready to go soon or in the next month or two. Say about 3 or 4. B would be within the next 5 to 6. Maybe that would be about 10 or so people. And then C would be within the next 6 months to a year. I would say that's roughly where a majority of the people are because they're worried about the markets. So I would say the next 30 people or so. And then the last category within the year to two.
Right? So just look at that. And that's 60 people in your pipe, 7 to 8 that you've already closed or, about to list. But is that number 60 going to get bigger or smaller through your activities?
Oh, I want it to keep getting bigger because if it gets smaller, that means I'm not producing any more business.
But let's change your language. It's not you want it to get bigger, it's going to get bigger, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to hope. You've already created a list, right? And that's what so many of us don't realize is we try to play pinball in everything we do, right? I'll do a little bit of this and then I'll go door knock and then maybe I'll do some social media and I'll blah blah blah, right? So there are two things that will blow up your business really fast: consistently door knocking the same neighborhood over and over and over all the time, or phone calls. That's it. Because you're when you're talking about 300 phone calls, are you doing a single line dialer and are these actual conversations, 300 conversations or 300 dials?
300 dials and conversation is about 40.
Okay. So have you broken down your metrics for every 40, once you talk to someone?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, it
what's
used to
that?
be 10%. It was like every 100 calls I make, every 10 contacts I get, and within the 10 contacts, there's probably one who's considering selling. So it's
Yep.
kind of break down a day. I feel like numbers have kind of changed just because one, market shifting, to different lists that you pull, numbers kind of change a little bit. Um, so yeah, that was kind of the metric before, was 100 calls, 10 contacts, and out of the 10, one would consider selling. Possibly, it
Okay.
was
Right.
maybe.
So that consistency now, it has to overflow because it's not just in making the phone calls. Now it's also in all the follow up, right? Hitting them up, whether you're doing market numbers every month, right, for a video, or like, I don't know what your follow up plan is, but getting them is one thing. Keeping them, nurturing them, readying them, flat watering them so that they're ready to blossom and you pick them when they're ripe, right? That's another. So I don't know where you are on something like that, and we don't have to get into all the details, but that will be and probably is already a part that you have to focus as far as under your consistency umbrella. Because it's one thing to get them, but it's another thing to actually get them as a client, right? And even when the time is right, they still might consider someone else or a family member or whatever. You don't know. But for those of you that are on this call, right, like just look at one activity. That's all Aaron's doing. One activity. And one activity, everyone that heard the numbers of not what he's closed, right? I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the pipeline because the pipeline tells the story. And the pipeline has 60 deep or a little bit more. And today we'll add to that. Think about that. Imagine what you can do if you just did one thing. Remember how on one of our calls we talked about Bruce Lee, right? He doesn't fear the man that's done 10,000 kicks one time. He fears the guy that's done one kick 10,000 times. Because when you're on the call, are you, I guess, first of all, are you afraid to pick up the phone, Aaron?
No, I've been doing my CE classes. I finally renewed my license yesterday morning.
Right? No, no, not for this. Are you afraid to pick
Oh,
up the phone
oh, sorry. Oh,
to
no,
make dials? Are you
no.
afraid to make calls, right? In the beginning, was it kind of a little bit nerve wracking or unsure, like what the hell do I say, or finding a rhythm? What was it
Yeah,
like in the beginning?
my script was terrible. People were cussing me out like worse than they do now, but I didn't even know what to say. I was stuttering, going off the script. So doing the same thing, same script every day, calling the same, using the same number, calling the same people all the time. So
Yep.
off was a little rough.
What does your script sound like? Let me just hear it.
So I'll just call and I'm like, "Hello, Steven." And then they're like, "Yes, it's Steven." And I'll say, "Oh, I've been trying to reach the owner of 123 Apple Street." And they're like, oh, I'll say, "I've been trying to reach the owner of 123 Apple Street. Is that probably not you by chance?" Kind of like confused. And they're like, "Oh, no, that's me." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, got it." And I'll just tell them, like, "I don't even know if you can help me out." Because I work with investors who are cash buyers, flip homes. And then also, since I'm an agent, I can list it. But I'll tell them, like, I've got a cash buyer actually looking to purchase a home in whatever the subdivision is, say Desert Shores or whatever. And I'll say, are you considering selling by chance? And then most of the time people are like, "You know what, actually, yeah, me and my wife are thinking about it." "Oh, okay, great. What makes you consider selling?" And then so I use Mojo, and on Mojo Dialer, I've got a bunch of questions to ask depending on, so I can choose a equity seller, a cash seller, um, buyer pre-qual. Like there's a bunch of things like that. And I'll just go through the questions, like why do they consider selling? What do they want to sell for? Any upgrades? Is there still a mortgage on the home? Is there any tenants? Who's the other decision maker? Is it, husband, wife, cousin,
Yeah. So you're going deep. You're going
yeah,
deep on the call.
figuring out why their why is, why do they want to sell, set an appointment, let them know. Cause they'll ask me like, "Who are you? Like, why are you calling me?" And I'm like, "Oh, my
Yep.
name's," and then same thing. So before they used to ask me questions that would take me off of my script, but now I can just get right back to it. I'll just answer it and then go.
Exactly.
So
Right.
before
And
they
that's
would
the thing. So this is what I want to point out. The beginning, right? You probably were like, "Why the hell am I picking up this phone? Like, what? Look at what people are doing to me."
yeah,
Right? And then you just kept chipping away at it and then refining it and then streamlining it. And now you're like, you pick up a call, you could be making coffee, have a baby in another hand, and it's like somebody saying something and you're answering them. And then at the same time, you're like, "I'm so sorry, I have my baby in my hand. Hope that's okay because that's real life today," right? And you can add something like that into the call where they're like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." And then the next thing you know, you're getting their number. Where in the beginning, you're like, what do I do?
you
And
sound more
that,
rather than like a robot. Because I get calls from people in like the Philippines or something, and it, their script is terrible. So just sounding more personal. If they're like, "Who are you? Like, why are you calling?" Like, "Oh, this is Aaron." Like,
yep,
"I'm sorry, I was just trying to reach." And then same thing. I'll go back to the script. "I was just trying to reach the owner of yada yada yada." So it just makes it seem like I'm more of a real person. I'm not just a scam call. Like, I'm going to connect you to my manager, or do you want cash purchase for your home, or like, my grammar's not correct. People pick up on that because they get
sure.
calls as homeowners.
Yep.
Uh, so I just try to sound as real life as possible.
And I'm so glad that we were able to have you on this call to say this, to lead the call, because there's a few things I want all of you to just see. First of all, Aaron didn't talk about what he has in the pipeline, right? Aaron looked at this potential measure of his success right now at 7 to 6, 7, 8 deals, as opposed to, "Holy shit, I have 60 people in my pipeline. That's insane," right? So the first thing I want to do is acknowledge you for having that many people in the pipeline, but it's not an accident. You didn't quit, right? And that's where most people fail. Just like you said, the failure rate, about 75% in the first year, right? They say that it's an 85% attrition rate in 5 years in real estate. So who cares? It's just that a majority of the people are out of the business in a relatively short period of time. Because when it gets to be doing things like you're doing, making phone calls and getting cussed out and getting yelled at and getting hung up on, we're like, "Oh my God, this is hurting my feelings," right? They make me feel like I'm a bad person, where there is no relationship between you and that stranger. You're just seeing if they need your services. That's it. They don't know you. But people don't see it that way, right? We get butt hurt and then that's it. So it's like, "I can't do this anymore. They make me feel bad." I'm like, what? The most the most well-paid people in the world, surgeons and things like that, they could do the best job in the world and they still have to give people bad news that they couldn't save somebody on the operating table. And they've been doing this for how long, and they went through so much schooling. Like, how do you do that? Imagine having to tell someone that you couldn't save their loved one or their family member. It's part of it, right? Part of the job is that a lot of people don't need us, or people don't want to hear from us, or whatever's going on in their day, but they have no idea who you are. So when we grasp that, it's not painful. And embracing the suck, like there are teams out there in real estate that are literally celebrating the first fuck off that they get on the phone, right? Someone told me to fuck off first, and they make a game out of it. And that's the thing. It's like doing the hard stuff, but looking at it and shifting the direction of how we see it will change the way we receive it or go after it. And that's what I mean when I opened up this call with, I'm fucking suffering right now. I can't explain how I'm suffering because I let my family down. I did that. And that's only elevating me instead of taking me down a notch. It's elevating me to be better because of what I did and how my wife is feeling right now. And I can't change that at the moment. I'm doing everything that I can, but I can't change it. Where a lot of other people, like they might not have even showed up to lead the call, just gone in a corner and been depressed, and then I let other people down. So that's the other thing that you have to remember. Like, Aaron, I know you have a girlfriend, you don't have like a wife or children yet, but still, you're accountable, right? To yourself first and foremost. That's what we always have to remember. We have to be our best selves, even when we do the wrong thing. It's about taking accountability and ownership. And there were probably some times on those early phone calls when you got really like cussed out or whatever that you're like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I doing this? But then once you understand that all you're having to do is shift a little bit here and there, and in a short period of time, you'll find your voice. Because it didn't take you 4 months to all of a sudden start correcting or adjusting or getting better. So how long would you say that you had to suffer through the initial bullshit before you started to find your rhythm?
Consistently doing it, probably 3 weeks to a month, maybe Monday through Friday. Figuring out what little tweak did I do wrong here, or what part of the script I'm not following, or someone
Right?
they're gonna when you first start, they're gonna throw only so many objections, but if you don't have the experience, you're gonna think they've thrown so many. And as you learn more and you understand more, essentially the same objection keeps coming up, and you can just do the same thing, answer it, and then go back to the script. So I didn't know that before, and I would feed into their objection and answer their question, and then wait for them to ask me a question. So then I'm turning the conversation to them leading it. So now I
Right.
just
Exactly.
back, and as long as I'm in charge of the phone call, no problem.
So there's an 18-second script that I came up with when I used to do a lot of circle dialing, and it went something like, they answer the phone, and I'm like, hey, is this Brian? So I didn't say, am I catching Brian, or is this Brian's house? Hey, is this Brian? And it's like, yeah, speaking. I'm like, Brian, complete stranger, but my name is Stephen Wenner. I'm in real estate with Whistle Realty here in San Diego. There's like nothing for sale in your neighborhood, and whatever comes up, it just goes under contract so fast. So I'm reaching out. I have no idea if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling in the next 3 to 12 months, but really that's just the nature of my call. And when I say that's the nature of my call, then they have to answer, right? So I pose something in there, that's the nature of my call, and then silence. And that's what I used to do. That's what I would say. And it was that quick. And then, it would turn into whatever it turned into. But it was the same thing. But because I've been doing phone calls forever, it wasn't challenging for me because I look forward to the fuck offs, kind of, like, because I'll say things like, I appreciate that. But please understand, if you ever do need real estate, you want somebody who's going to be extremely persistent and consistent. And so you telling me off just validates it for me. I'm doing my job well. Thank you. Right? It's like, bye. But in doing those things, right, and you don't have to change your script, it's working for you and stuff like that. Mine works for me. But it was just doing it. And in doing it, and when I was teaching people and coaching people how to do it and putting it on speakerphone, they're like, how the hell did you get their email? Or how are they telling you all this stuff? And it's literally because you learn how to have a relational conversation where it becomes a real conversation, right? You find yourself talking to people on the phone. It's like almost like you know them at times. Would you say that that happens often on the phone now?
Yeah, so my previous job was tutoring kids with autism, and there's actually people I met that have kids, and they bring up something like it's been hard. I'm like, oh, whatever. We end up talking about school, and then they let me know their child has autism, and then I the clinic for children with autism. That was my background. So then just building rapport like that, or I feel like I know a little bit about everything, so that if it comes up, I could talk enough
right?
to sound like I know about it.
So when you make it relational, see that's the thing. That's what I wanted to finish this call with. It's not just that you're being consistent, okay? It's not just that you're being consistent. It's that you're learning through the process. You're consistently making the phone calls, but what I want you to zero in on is that what I love about you and your future success, because you're going to kill it. I'll tell you that right now. Period. There's no doubt. It's just that you're adjusting, right? You're tuning the frequency, right? Oh, it's off a little bit. I have to oh, I'll put it over here. Oh, that's working. And what I love about that is, again, for someone like myself in real estate, I don't have to get in front of a lot of people to get appointments or get people to work with me. It just happens very quickly because of how I understand how to connect. So 2 weeks ago, I was working in an open house, and there's some people that came in, and I dropped ridiculous value on them, and they had no idea. And I went through my own like qualifying script with them, and there's an agent they were talking to that was referred to them by a great friend, and I know the agent, and he's a very very big, very successful agent. Used to own a giant brokerage till him and his wife divorced. And we went through everything, and I gave them my card. They didn't share their information with me at that time. They're like, "We'll call you," and in my head, I'm like, "No, you won't." Right? Like, if I don't get your information, no, you won't. But not only did they call me, but they're so excited to see me. So that was different because if I can't get information, life happens for them, work happens for me, right? It's my job to follow up. They deviate. But in getting their information, right? That's what we always want because we know that we're in charge of that. When we don't get information, it's like forget it. So when they text me, I'm like, who's this? Because I didn't even know who's reaching out. And I was supposed to see them last week, but the wife got COVID and they let me know and they were super disappointed. But through all of that, I kept checking in on them for real on a personal level. Not, hey, when are you ready for me to come look at you in your house? I was like, I hope you're dealing with this okay and that your symptoms aren't too bad. And then by text, and then you get a love, a heart on that, like thank you. And then I got an email or a text yesterday. Hey, the symptoms weren't too bad. We're past it. Can you come Thursday? I couldn't come this Thursday because of other appointments. So I'm going, they're like, how about next Thursday? I'm like, sure. And that's literally because of building a relationship. I made them feel like, first of all, I have crazy knowledge in real estate, but I'm not after their business just to get their business. I want to help them. And they felt that. And when you can do that, the sooner you do that, which is what you're doing on the phones right now, you're relating to people. That's all it is. You're not selling them shit. You just have to be relatable on the phone so that they don't hang up on you. That's it. You just have to be relatable and someone they feel they can connect with. And oh, this young man sounds pleasant, right? Versus a bad broken accent, totally off script, where you're like, oh my God, you know? Because we've all received telemarketing calls that we didn't hang up right away because the other person on the other side of that phone was really cool or relatable or had a great tone. I try to hire those people when I hear them like that, you know? So, consistency, right? That's Aaron's word for today. But look beyond the consistency. Look at consistency with adjustments. And celebrate the fact that you have 60 people in your pipe and talk about that, Aaron. Talk about that. All right, everyone, we're going to jump. But Camelia, I hope this was a better call for you today. You got in at the beginning, so you kind of heard it all. Again, this week is a little bit different because I'm having other people lead, but you got to see the gist of it. So Did you get anything good out of it?
Yes, I'm a new agent, so yes, I get a lot of stuff.
All right. Well, then, Aaron, you can train her if you want to. New agent to new agent, right? So, well, I look forward to just hearing back if you feel this is something you want to participate in. But again, we're commingling business with personal because I believe they're intertwined, no matter how hard we try to pull them apart. And you just saw from a young man over here who's newish to real estate doing one activity and blowing it up, right?
I need to start doing that. I need to start making some calls.
Yep. It's not about just start making some calls. You need an action plan around it. You need a dialer, you need data, and you need a CRM.
I have the my company because I just started with a company, Compass.
Yep.
So I'm with a team, so they give us like a list of expires to call.
Expireds is one thing. What Aaron's doing is he's just calling random people in areas.
People.
Just
Oh,
random, complete random. When you make expired calls, you could be the 19th caller and
yeah, that's why I haven't like really put anything to it because there's like everyone in my office is calling the same number.
right.
So it's
Yep.
like I don't want to start right there. I just want to know like where to get the angle on and just hold on to it
Yep.
because sometimes in my office they have like every people coming in there. We all have the same list.
Yep.
So I think to myself like why call when everyone is calling the same people?
Absolutely. So the thing is you can swim in a different pond. You can make the expired calls, but if you do, there are some people that break the rules and call before 8 a.m., right? So those people, so it's supposed to be 8 a.m. or after, but there are people that start calling at 7:30 to really start pissing off the sellers, right? And so when I would call, I'd be like, "Is this Brian?" And they're like, "Yeah," and already their tone's like, I'm like, or am I, right? Am I the first or am I the 42nd? They'd be, God, you're like, this is the 30th call I've got. I'm like, I get it. And the only reason I'm calling, and this is where I created my own script, your house didn't sell. You know, if it sold yesterday, I'm sure you had a plan for where it was, but I have no idea if you changed your mind about wanting to sell or if you're just looking to change your professional. I'd love to know which one it is. And so right off the bat, I would get right to it, where I've never seen another script like that, but it would piss me off that I'd see these other scripts that were created by Tom Ferry or Mike Ferry, and they're just like a laundry list. Tell me what you didn't like about the other agent, and tell me what, like, tell me what you did like. I'm like, fuck that shit. What is that shit? So it's like, do you still want to sell or do you not want to sell? And if you're going to relist, are you staying with the same agent, right? So I have no idea if, yesterday you probably had a plan if you sold your house, but it didn't sell yesterday. So I have no idea if you changed your mind about wanting to sell your home or if you're looking to change your professional. But that's the reason I'm calling. I don't want to be like everybody else. Yes, I have a plan. Yes, I've been doing this for 30 years. Yes, yes, yes. But I'm a stranger to you. I'm just seeing if you're looking for a better way. And I completely understand if you're going to choose a few people to talk to because the person that you work with looks like they let you down. And I don't know what happened yet, but I want to discover that so we can build the right plan to help you get your house sold in the future. Because I'm assuming that was your intention, right? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay. So you're probably still going to get more, and that's going to happen, unfortunately, because your information is public data. And I wish I could stop that, but I'm so grateful that you picked up my call. Is there a time where you're looking to actually get your home back on the market? Maybe 2 months. I'm like, okay. Is there any reason it's 2 months just so I understand your life situation? Well, I'm going on a vacation and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, got it. So if in 2 months, while you're taking this hiatus, I was also able to secure the right buyer for your home, would you be adverse to selling it while you're on vacation? I'm like, well, how do you do that? I'm like, there's certain ways we can take a listing where we don't have to advertise it, but I can go through my network. So if you're open to something like that, again, I just want to show you my marketing plan. I don't want you to ask to just list with me. I want to earn it. So I want to demonstrate the value that my team and I present. So if you're open to just a quick meeting, again, I know I'm one of the 40,000 that just called you. I get it. But I hope you've enjoyed this phone call
That's pretty
our
cool.
conversation because the way, right? Nobody talks like this. Pisses me off to conversation, but I know what I have to hit on, right? I know what I have to say. So good thing this is recorded because I think Camelia's frozen. Did you hear all that, Aaron?
Yeah, I heard it.
I was freezing a little bit though.
It was freezing?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
That sucks. Did it freeze? Did it freeze for you the whole way, Camelia?
Not the entire, like at the end.
Okay. So again, I can replicate those things a million times because I've done them a million times, but it's conversational, it's real, it addresses the fact that they're being bothered, it addresses it understands if someone is selling or not, right? Or they're changing their agent. Because sometimes they're like, no, I'm still working with the same agent, we're just taking a break. I'm like, okay, I get it. You're not looking for anything else to see if it can be done better? Nope, got it. I'm like, okay. So So those are things that, again, we can talk about, work on, or go over. But I just wanted to show you what we do, and we don't separate personal from business. It's all commingled. And then this way, we just have to get your mindset to focus things like a champion and no champion. But all right, if you're all there, we're gonna wrap this baby up. But thank you so much for attending, Aaron. Man, you're doing amazing. Go kill it. And I look forward to keeping you guys close and seeing you all again tomorrow.
Thanks, Steven.
Thanks, bye.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.